Hello and welcome to the podcast. This is a new
everybody.
podcast.
It might have been like demon possessed. It was a fairly large, mutated looking chicken.
We were born in the north, but we grew up in the south.
We learned all of our words from Pennsylvania.
And people are like, that's toboggan. That little toboggan
Not
there.
a toboggan. Toboggan is a sled. Okay.
0.3 inches, baby.
Dude, I can't take it.
Welcome back to season 7, my guy. This is season 7 of the podcast. Everything's different.
Hi.
Yep.
How's it going?
If you can tell, we got a new guest. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What's your name? What do you smell? What kind of deodorant do you use?
Old Spice.
Old Spice. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's about
What's your name?
Old Spice.
Old Spice. Okay.
Frickin'. If you guys don't know about our audio-only show on Spotify called The Midnight Special, then you don't know who this is. But if you listen, welcome. This is Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on many episodes of The Midnight Special. He is here with us in person. We talked about this quite a bit towards the end of last season.
Yeah.
Both on The Midnight, obviously, and then also on the video podcast, the main channel. So it's good that you're here, Wyatt.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. So, since this is my first time officially on camera, aside from talking to you guys over Zoom briefly and then Skype, I'm not sure where to look.
Just
there.
You know
There?
what?
I'd say,
I never
you know
look
what?
at the camera.
Okay.
I never look at the camera.
This is what I'm going to say. All right, we'll say this. We're going to look at each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Unless you want to reference the audience, then
Well,
look at that camera right
Okay,
there.
because I like going.
But don't look at the wide. Look at this guy
Look
right
at
here.
this guy?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
As normal, we will hear loud
yeah.
freaking
Like
planes.
F-16s.
Yeah,
freaking
dude. Oh,
jets.
that was you enjoyed that actually when you got here.
I really do.
You were like, I love it.
Yeah.
You're like you like watching them, you hear them, and you're like, where is it?
Oh yeah, I've got some videos of a couple of them flying right over. I've been sending them to the family back home.
Yeah. It's pretty nice. So we have a new setup too.
Oh yeah,
we can
should address that.
go into that, and then we can do kind of a. Do you want to do an update for each person? A quick one. Doesn't have to be long. Just 30-second type thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're gonna talk to Wyatt on another video a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna do more
this
of an
week,
interview
you know,
style.
Yeah. So,
Film
but we'll talk.
podcast.
We'll talk specifics about him because we'll get into him a good bit on that episode. But let's me and you do a quick update. How about that?
Okay.
You start.
Well, we got a new setup. This is more of a permanent thing. We're not ripping it down every week. It's
Yep.
gonna be something that's set up. You can tell there's a decent sized screen
Dude,
behind
and
me.
he's got our logo in motion.
We have a desk too. We made this desk. It needs to be finished a little bit. There's a
got
few things that need
stain.
to be done. We need to poly it and sand it and do a little bit more to it. But
Right now, it is what it is.
right now, it is what
We
it
built
is.
it.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Is what it is.
But yeah, we built it. It's pretty cool. We enjoyed it. We actually got the wood on the top from a local guy here in Virginia Beach. We didn't just go buy it at some lumber shop. It was actually a local guy, so it was pretty cool. What else?
What else? We had New Year's. Wait, no.
Yeah.
Well, we recorded before New Year's and we released an episode after. But how is your 2021 going?
You know, a little stressful, but not stuff I'd rather talk about on the podcast. It's just stuff everybody knows about, you know, in the climate of the world. It really sets into my mind a good bit about what I would like us to do here, and it's just kind of freaking escape, you know, because for at least a little bit, because there's too many stressful things going on. So just kind of chill and have a good time here.
And something else we have updated. We can go into it a little bit at the end when we plug everything, but we have a new website.
Yeah. Yep. wiseworksfilms.com.
Yeah.
The URL, the link, it's in the description if you want to go check it out.
It's a little bit updated from the old one, and it's not ear, nose, throat. That was kind of our big thing.
Did we talk about that?
Not on the podcast, but we had somebody tell us that our podcast it's Wiseworks ENT.
Yeah.
That is essentially ear, nose, throat.
We didn't know that when we created it.
Yeah.
I was talking to you and I was like, I have this idea, let's shorten it, because Wiseworks Entertainment is a mouthful to type. And so I was like, let's shorten it to ENT, short for entertainment. Everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, short for entertainment.
The final one.
Yeah, and this is the final one. We're gonna keep this one.
Like 5.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep this. And freaking right away, someone told, after we bought it and everything, someone told you, oh, Wiseworks, ear, nose, throat.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's fun.
Freaking, okay, quick update for me. It's pretty much the same. I'm glad you're here, Wyatt. We've been, you got here getting in the rhythm of things a little bit, and it was nice to have a little bit of a break to get ready for this at least.
Yeah.
So
I've been spending the past, couple days bugging you guys.
I wouldn't call it bugging.
Taking up all your time.
I wouldn't call it bugging at all. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Leave a comment if you have questions for Wyatt's, that we might like to address on the podcast that you're interested in to get to know him.
Yeah, because we're going to, I guess we would record his interview episode before this releases, but he's going to be a permanent member or a permanent host of this podcast. So for now, he's here. We're stuck with him.
Yeah,
can't get out.
We're all
can't
stuck.
get out of it.
Yeah, we're all stuck.
We have a lease together.
Yeah,
so.
we do. So
you guys are roommates.
Stuck.
I don't think you said that. They're rooming together.
Yeah, me and Josh are living in the same apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So,
there is something I want to talk to you guys about, at least to open up. What?
Just we're roommates and we're opening up. That sounds.
Yeah.
No, not emotionally. You guys can do that on your own time. Friggin', I was thinking. So we've actually had this conversation a little bit, partly because you're here, partly because when we go on break, we tend to think about this stuff a little bit more.
You guys were on break?
Yeah.
You guys.
We were on a break.
Meanwhile, we're on break.
We were on a break.
Is that what happened when, no. You were also in his wedding. That's something we could talk about.
Yeah.
That could be a story in itself. Let's save that for another time.
Yeah. But I wanted to talk to you guys because we've had this conversation a little bit with each other, and I'd like to bring it here about the future of entertainment. And why what we're doing? Why not? Why what we're doing here? Why it's investing himself into is important, and why we think it works. Why we think it's thing? Because I don't think we're necessarily out to just be a podcast on YouTube.
The thing is, I'm leaving the podcast. I'm kidding. No, I'm not.
Not yet.
Okay. Addressing that. There is...
I'm not leaving the podcast.
He's not leaving the podcast. He doesn't have plans to leave the podcast. It's more... You're talking about you can't predict the future. There might be things you might want to delve into.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other topic. Let's not get into that. I was kind of just making a joke.
Okay. Well, anyways, there's like the industry is changing a lot with like COVID and stuff. And so I am curious to have... what you guys are thinking about in regards to how we navigate what we do here and what we do, for entertainment purposes for people, and how we grow this thing that's called Wiseworks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did bring up some interesting things that I'd like to slide through.
Of course.
And then we can talk about it, and maybe along the way.
Yeah.
And I have visuals because we have a big old screen now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to the first one. So, growth on Netflix.
Yes.
It's no surprise that they're huge.
No.
So, if you can see this graph behind Joshua's shoulder.
They can pretty good.
I think they can see it, yeah. Basically, from the 2011 to 2020, they've grown from about a little under 1 billion subscribers all the way, 1 billion in revenue, all the way up to over 6 billion in 2020.
Yeah.
So for some reason, the streaming industry is going up, and I'm going to go through a few more examples of this. Well, we know why it's going up. I'm using this as a talking point. So Disney Plus, they just started in November 2019, and they've grown up to 73 million subscribers on their platform. And then with Amazon Prime, they're up to 150 million subscribers on their platform. Granted, they also have shipping service there, Amazon.
Right.
But a lot of people like me, I did just get it for the entertainment. Really.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they got a lot of good original stuff coming out.
They really do. Yeah. And actually, it's actually popping these days because they are purchasing a lot of good shows.
Well, because like, you know how Netflix bought Cobra Kai from YouTube. Mm-hmm. Amazon has done a similar thing with some other good shows from YouTube.
Which ones?
Well, there's Wayne. Mm. There's Wayne, which aside from Cobra Kai was the other famous one from YouTube Premium or YouTube Red or whatever it was at the time. So yeah, they bought that one, and of course Netflix got Cobra Kai, and you know, in the hopes to sort of take these shows that people really liked and give them another chance, you know, and ultimately to make money off of them.
Yeah.
So
Amazon Prime's doing, I mean, and I think there's also, so there's, you know, so just here's a quick example. This is a Google search answer. HBO Max has like 38 million people on the platform. And then we get to something that's more traditional, right?
Yeah.
So, is it AMC theaters? Was that right there, or is that wrong?
I think it's AMC, yeah.
Is there an E at the end of there? Or is it just AMC?
AMC.
Okay.
AMC
That's what I put at the title. I don't know if you can see that. But this is their stock.
Been to theater that long?
No, but this is their, yeah, exactly. But I usually go to Regal. But AMC theaters stock, like towards the end here, this is a 5-year stock thing. Obviously, it's going down. Pretty obvious.
Which I hate. I've made that very vocal.
Yeah, we can get into that some more.
Yeah, because I'm losing a bunch of money. My stock's going down. I don't have any stock.
Josh will put $5,000 in AMC stock. Friggin'. They didn't even, like, the thing is, though, COVID should have affected them more than this. Mm-hmm. And you don't even really know where COVID registers. Mm-hmm. I think I could probably guess somewhere right in there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, it's barely registering. It looks like a normal day for them, almost. That's not a good sign.
Right.
And then the other thing is Regal. Regal is shutting down theaters again less than 2 months after it started to reopen U.S. locations late August. Let's see. So because of the James Bond franchise delayed their 2020 release of No Time to Die, they decided to, they closed down again. I guess just a bunch of locations. Mm-hmm. And they're losing money like crazy, Regal is. I think they're going to get bought out by a different company at some point. That to say, let me see what the next slide is real quick. Oh, and then also...
Oh my gosh. I was literally thinking about this second.
Okay. So a money problem with Dune, which we did talk about on the Midnight Special. Jamark brought it up, and this is why I include this.
We're really passionate about Dune.
Yeah, and it's the big next blockbuster film, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which when I saw the trailer, I'm like, I don't know nothing about Dune because I didn't even know about the word.
But you want to watch it.
I want to watch it so bad. Yeah. It looks so cool. Yeah. And pretty much, so this is a little thing about AT&T and how they're losing money and how it's like combined with HBO Max and stuff. Yeah. But pretty much, they don't know what to do with Dune right now.
Well, are they going to put it on streaming service?
They can, but the problem is, and this is why I said the problem with Dune is because if they do that, they won't make back the money they spent on the film. Like, they know for a fact they're not getting their money back.
Which wouldn't be as much of a problem if this wasn't a 2-part movie. This is the first book, the original Dune, right? The first movie is only going to be half of that story.
Yeah.
And then the second movie is going to be the rest of the story, right? Mm-hmm. So they've split the book into 2.
Yeah.
And the problem is, you know, if they don't release in theaters, then they're not going to make back the money that they spent to make this thing.
Yeah. And also, like, it's still a problem, though. Not that's more like a fan problem because they want to see the next ones.
Yeah.
We want to see the first one, gosh. But also, just the fact that they can't make their money back, that's bad business.
Yeah.
You know? at very least they need to break even, but there's no way for them to right now.
Right.
Even if there's no streaming service that can offer them enough money to put it on there.
No. I don't know. The movie, the director of the movie has been very vocal about this, about, you know, if they put it directly onto HBO Max, there's just not going to be enough, you know, revenue.
And that's in part because the streaming services.
That's hard for me.
The streaming services buy it for a period of time for a chunk of money. When you release something in the theaters that has the global audience, all of a sudden, you know, $10, $15, $20 a person that sees the movie is going straight back into, between taxes and other expenses, straight back into that movie. But the streaming services can't dump that kind of money into one thing on a platform. Yeah. Like, for example, Peacock just bought back. Well, they didn't buy back because they just started, but they just bought The Office. They got a contract for The Office, roughly about the same amount that Netflix had.
Yeah.
It was essentially $100 million per year to have it on their platform. They just did $500 million for 5 years on Peacock. And even that, like, I doubt, even if someone was able to drop $500 million, a streaming service, on Dune, it's still only one thing, and it doesn't have surefire popularity like The Office does. Literally, The Office is what gave Netflix its popularity.
Yeah.
How many people are currently have a subscription to Netflix?
Netflix.
They release that?
Yes. Well, actually, I know how much they make, so you can probably divide it by like 10, because that's the average subscription cost. No, 13 actually. Let me go back to Amazon or Netflix. Netflix makes around $6 billion a year, a little more than that. So if you divide that by 13, you can get a rough estimate. Actually,
$6 billion?
No, $6 billion a year. $6 billion divided by 12, and then divide that
by 13. Let me do $1 billion.
Yeah. Well, let me do it real quick. Wait. Okay, so freaking. All right, million. Okay, 6 billion divided by 12 divided by 13. So, see, that's not even the same amount. But it's saying that was saying 38 million. But I already know that they're over 100. I think they're around like 160 million people that have subscriptions to Netflix or accounts.
But the problem with Dune, though, is that it's not going on to Netflix. It's going to HBO, right? Which isn't as famous, and, you know.
Exactly.
Well, it's to Netflix.
Well, it's one thing if it's...
Solve the issue. Sell it to Netflix.
HBO Max only has 38 million subscriptions to it.
The issue is, it's one thing if it's a show like Game of Thrones or something where people know, I have to go to HBO to watch this, right? Yeah. I have to go to HBO. I have to have a subscription, right? Or even Netflix. Yeah, I have to have a subscription to Netflix to watch Stranger Things, right?
Yeah,
I'm going to this platform to watch this, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody's thinking, you know, especially not regular people. People aren't thinking, oh, I can't wait to go onto HBO Max to watch Dune, right? They would have to do some serious marketing.
For sure.
Right? And I'll tell you a funny story.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about this the other night. It's really brief, but I was watching an ad for HBO Max.
Yeah.
You know, and it was sort of going through and showing different movies that are on there, little clips and things, and then like new stuff, and of course it was just flipping through titles, right? It was like boom, 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 right? And I think I saw Dune on there for less than a millisecond.
That's
less
rough.
Than all the others. Bloop. It was just bloop. It was there. Because the fans of Dune and the director don't want it to go on there. But they're still kind of advertising that it might be on there.
But I don't even think they have the deal done yet, though.
I have no idea, but it was so quick. That's what made me wonder. I was tricky. Like, it was so quick. It was like,
yeah,
right?
It's just like
it was there and then it was gone.
Yeah,
Dune maybe. They should have put like a maybe.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, to be honest, I've never heard of Dune until all of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So me as just an average Joe or average Josh.
Yeah.
I'm the only average Joe here.
Yeah, you are pretty average.
Yeah. Pretty basic.
But I've never heard of it until now. That could be just me, though. I don't want to just say that that story is very foreign to most people. But yeah, I wouldn't go to a certain streaming service. Yeah. They should come up with a thing, like a package to, instead of going to theaters, sell something to, like, 5 different streaming services for cheaper than just going to one streaming service, but like several streaming services, and it all goes on there. They have like a deal. It goes on there for 2 months.
Yeah.
And then it gets kicked off. And then they can choose like a specific streaming service, or they can just release it to a video, or however they do it.
Well, it's really disappointing sort of to see where the movie industry is kind of heading as far as streaming, because it's like, you know, you could pay whatever the cinemas, you know, charge you $10 or whatever to go watch a movie once and get to experience it and talk about it with your friends for a couple months, and then buy the movie if you liked it eventually, you know, online or on DVD or whatever. Mm-hmm. Whereas, you know, now it's like, you know, you have to pay for all the streaming services, right?
All of them.
I gotta pay, you know, average $10 a month for Netflix, $10 a month for this, $10 a month for this, unless each of these apps comes out with some sort of add-on that makes it to where you pay a one-time fee. And this, I actually told this to John Mark years ago.
Yeah.
I said if these apps created an add-on, right, so that when big ticket movies come out, they cannot stream them. You don't have to have Netflix, right? But if you go onto Netflix and you pay them $10 for a ticket, you can watch the movie. You have, I don't know, 12 hours to watch the movie, right?
Yeah.
And then you can watch the movie however many times you can in that 12 hours. That's ticket sales, right? Yeah. And you know, so that, you know, Netflix gets a percent of that, even if you don't have Netflix, right?
But
there's some sort of add-on.
There can be some kind of deal where it's like Netflix, Peacock, HBO, and Amazon Prime. They're all going to have the movie for $10, $12 for a 12-hour showing period, pretty much.
So what I'm saying, essentially, is that, you know, the platforms can give incentive to, hey, if you own Netflix, or you have a subscription to Netflix, right?
Yeah.
You're paying the $13 a month, then the ticket actually is only about $6, right? Whereas if I get Netflix Theater, right, which is an extension app or an add-on app, I'm paying $10 for my movie ticket, right?
I mean, that makes sense.
How are you going to...
I don't know.
What do you think?
I understand the concept. I kind of like that, but it's still just something that's never been tested. So we don't know how the general public... We're going to look at it in a different light, because we have this love for movies. We have this love for this story, Dune, or whatever it is. So we're going to look at it from a different perspective than most people that want to just watch a film or watch a movie. But
I'm talking about all movies. Instead of going to a theater, they go to...
Or maybe all new releases.
All new releases, right? Instead of releasing to AMC or Regal, you release to insert app name theater, right? Which is an app on your phone.
Yeah.
So I go click HBO Theater, right?
Yeah.
And then it gives me a list of this year's movies. Oh, look, Avatar 2 is coming out, right? On this date. Mm-hmm. And at 10 p.m., I can pay, however much, $12, $13, $14 to watch the movie, right?
Yeah. And then in, I don't know, 50 years when theaters are gone and we still have the theater button, our kids or grandkids will be like, why
is it called?
What does it mean?
Button?
What does theater mean?
Now, John Mark doesn't think, I don't think theaters are ever going to go out of fashion, right?
I think live theaters where shows are put on aren't going to go out of fashion. But
I think movie theaters.
The movie experience.
People love movie theaters, right?
Yeah.
I think eventually we will get things under control, and but I think at least the movie theater experience is going to be different.
Oh, for sure,
it's going to be different from now on.
The tickets are going to be $30 a person.
Yeah, and it's going to be like, they're only going to allow a certain amount of people into a theater. So the lines are going to get longer for big blockbuster releases. I mean, I stood in a line for quite a while when I went to see Infinity War and Endgame.
Well, yeah.
So,
but that was pre-COVID, though.
That was pre-COVID, so there were a lot of people in that theater, and there were a lot of people standing next to me and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Once the general public, once humans adapt to either COVID or it becomes not a deadly thing to us, then we're going to be able to figure out how we restructure. Because I think COVID allows us to restructure to make the future better, not necessarily have to restructure out of necessity, because eventually the whole pandemic side of things is going to go away. We might have another flare up in 50 or 100 years, because the humans have a virus historically every 100 years that breaks out into the world. And so this is just the next one.
Yeah.
And so we can restructure things, because the problem is this forced everything to kind of topple down a lot. You know? And so I think if we're gonna have to rebuild, and the things we choose to rebuild, we can restructure and think them through better, instead of just being like, oh well, we're doing it this way because people will pay money because they're used to doing it this way. Well, all of a sudden this is a huge, year and a half reset button.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is off topic.
Go ahead.
Are we finished with this topic? We want to go to something different?
Or
do you have more?
We can skip. I always wanted to talk about the Chosen app.
Okay. You always want to talk about that, though.
I want to tell you about the Chosen app, but let's stay on this and let's talk about what you're saying.
Well, I was going to go totally off, not this topic.
Well, we can circle back around.
Okay. No, what I was going to say is kind of more a finisher, like a finishing off thing.
When we're about to finish, we'll finish with that. Okay. All right. The Chosen app. I've told you guys about it.
Yeah.
You haven't experienced it yet, have you?
No.
Okay.
Yep, I have.
This is something that I think is really exciting for us, and something that I think we actually been talking about as content creators. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking about it because you have this in your thoughts.
I have this in my brain, and I
wouldn't say it's everybody's thoughts. It's just your thoughts.
It's right my thought
at this point.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
I am. But I think it's interesting because it's a cool thought experiment. Because right now, because of this big reset, we do have to look into the future and think what's going, for people like us, instead of just consumers, we have to think about what is innovative in this field of podcasting, of content creating, of filmmaking, and entertainment in general. How are people consuming it and what works? I wanted to show you this. I don't know if you can turn your head and see that, Joshua. But
turn your head.
I'll let you see that one. If you see this, they're in the process of season. Well, they're currently filming season 2.
Mm-hmm.
This is crowdfunded on this app.
Yeah.
They wrote it. I don't even know if there's a website, but it's an app that's free that you download, and it's a Jesus story. It's a show about Jesus, and it's really good. The first season was amazing, very well done. It wasn't cheesy Christian film. It was very well done. I think they did the first season. It got crowdfunded, and then they made the app. They filmed it, got it done, put it up on the app, and then also inside of the app, you are allowed to donate money to the next season.
That's incredible.
Season 2. Now Seth, he's been on this not this podcast, but the Midnight Special a couple of times. Mm-hmm. Season 2 is currently being filmed. They're doing this outside of Dallas, Texas, because Dallas, Texas can look like the Middle East in certain spots. Season 2 is already in process. It's already funded. Mm-hmm. Guess how much they raised for season 2? Over $11 million.
That's impressive.
That means they have, and I think they do 8 episodes, so they have over $1 million an episode.
Yeah.
They're filming season 2. It's not out. It's not even being edited yet. They're filming it still. Because I follow the director on Instagram. They're already crowdfunding for season 3 already. If you see this, the first episode
50% funded.
The first episode is already 50% funded.
Of
season 3. They haven't even begun to write season 3 yet.
Yeah. John Mark and I had a similar idea, but for an app or a website that was for artists and cartoon makers, right? I took a little bit of inspiration from that Love, Death, and Robots thing on Netflix, right?
Yep.
And I thought, what if
we
there
need
was
to talk about that at some point?
What if there was a streaming service essentially that did, and this really streamlines it. We didn't actually have a lot of it thought out, but we thought you can you do
watch
a cartoon.
it for free.
Yeah, you do a cartoon, right? You write it, you post it, right? And then people can essentially fund the next episode, right? People fund it, and then eventually, right? Very much like YouTube, right? You release a whole season. People fund it, right? Or upload it or whatever, and then eventually the platform itself picks it up.
Yeah.
Right? And they fund it for the remaining duration.
Yeah.
Right?
It's almost like Rick and Morty getting picked up for 10 seasons.
Right, by Adult Swim.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
instead of just
Olin Rogers kind of did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he got picked up, right? But I'm talking like either you release several episodes and people watch it, right? So, let's say you released your first season is 8 episodes of 20-minute long content, which for an artist is a long time, right? That's a lot of art, especially if especially if it's like a Love, Death, Robots type.
Yep. Or
art
even
style.
if it's just anime. Because anime packs in a lot. Like, when you see it, how choppy it is, it's so, like, it doesn't seem like as much work as something like Rick and Morty. But the thing is, Rick and Morty's drawn, but then it's also manipulated through computer for most of the movements.
Well, there's
Anime's
a lot of,
like each frame.
Well, there's a lot of anime now. Modern anime isn't as much. But a lot of times what will happen with anime is that it will go from being very smooth to, in the fight scenes, looking very drawn, right? Things almost become simpler, and with some of them, and there's a couple of things I'd like to show you guys. Is it's really cool to watch. They do so much. But yeah, an app like that, and that's why I like this so much. That this is their app. It is funding their project. It's not like,
and how they got all of this. Okay, I didn't include this. I should have, but there's a crap ton of people that have gone and downloaded this because they have a counter on it. They literally show how many people are actually watching, and it says right here 42,000 people are the ones that I've got 50% of episode 1 of season 3 funded. But they have a goal of 1 billion people to watch this show, to download the app and watch the show and have access to it. And I'm pretty sure they already have over 10 million people who's watched it.
It's like a personal Kickstarter.
It is,
right? But it's your app. You control. You could be like, we need funding for this specific project. It may not have. it may not be directly tied to the show, but it may be like, oh, we have to build a set, right?
Yeah.
And we actually need funding specifically for the build, right? And that can, that'll be on whatever their next project is. It's like, so donate to the show, but also donate to this build, because it's gonna have to, I mean, it's your app. You choose, right? And people will watch.
Yeah.
Do you? And this is just sorry, I'll
keep going.
Hold off. This is just a thought that I'm having. I know what you're saying. It's almost like they're creating their own GoFundMe.
Yeah.
In a sense. Do you? Because I know probably the majority. I wouldn't say all, because I don't want to generalize who's watching. But the majority of people are watching are probably like a Christian base, or they're advertised in churches and things like that, because it is a Christian based story. Do you find it in any way odd, or what is your thought if they did that and they're saying they're building something, but they're almost like targeting the Christians in general, because Christians have got into this because they want to watch the show, but then, like, let's say a couple years down the road they start like funding other things, and that sense they're kind of targeting Christians, and then Christians they don't realize what they're giving money towards.
So you think it could turn into something more like a Netflix in the Christian world, and they don't really know what their money's being funded for?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's their intention, because this is being run by the few people that are doing the show.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm kind of saying. It's run by the few people who are doing the show. Do we know those people? How well?
I know the director.
How well do we know those people and what their mindset behind all of this is? I mean, they could be good people. I'm not saying that. But let's say someone else gets involved and it just goes down a different route.
Well, then the people that support it stop supporting it.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't like the way it's going, you don't like the story it's telling or the message it's giving out, you stop supporting it. It's just like TV. It's just like anything. If I don't like what's on the TV, I'm turning the channel.
Yeah.
I'm not watching a YouTuber who I don't like, or a Twitch channel I don't like. I'm not subscribing on, I'm not going to fund a project on Kickstarter that, I don't like or don't see anything coming out of. But I mean, it happens.
Joshua's kind of sounds like you're saying, though, that we do that anyway with Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Because Netflix is going to make a whole bunch of originals this year that I'm not going to watch and not interested in watching, but my money to have access to them is still funding those projects.
Right.
In a sense, but I think we should, yes, but it's starting from a place that's targeting Christians in a way, because it is starting from a Christian-based show. And let's say it turns into like a Netflix. I understand, yes, you can stop supporting it, but I think there's potential to kind of target a group of people and them think that
they already did that, though. Pureflix.
Yeah.
It's the worst ever, because it's branded as Christian films. And they even ripped off Netflix name by calling it Pureflix.
Right.
And it sucks, because Christians don't make good films. Artists make good films. And if you're an artist who's a Christian, that's wonderful. But, like, Christians going out and making films don't make good films.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a couple, right? I'd say there's a couple of watchable Christian movies. But I'd say for the most part, you're not finding all that much.
But even the people that, so like the people who did the Christian films like Courageous, the Kendrick brothers, I believe is their names. They were making their names? I think so.
Okay.
They were making films as young guys. Thinking their filmmaking was going to be their industry. Then they felt like they needed to work in ministry. They got involved in a church, and then they came up with this idea through their church at Georgia somewhere, think it might be Atlanta.
It's either Georgia or Alabama. It's close. It's around there.
Yeah. But they essentially got their church to fund their ideas to make these films, right? And that church was backing them. But they started as more filmmakers, and they're out of all the Christian films, they're still not great, but they are the most watchable probably. Besides this show, I think the show is leagues above it.
To check this one out.
It's just so good. Yeah, but the courageous film and the fireproof stuff, they started as like interested in film before they were doing ministry stuff.
Right.
So they didn't start from a place of I want to make Christian films. They started from a place I want to make films, and then they found themselves.
Well, I don't think you have to be like, I don't think you have to be like, oh, I want to make Christian content to be able to make content that everybody can watch.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's an importance in knowing that and recognizing that. But yeah, you're right. I've seen a lot of other stuff that's crap. It's just unwatchable.
Yeah.
I wanted to also ask you guys.
Probably not. I don't. No.
All right,
like me neither. Yeah, just me neither.
I'll just skip it now. I want to do shows for streaming versus blockbuster movies.
What do you mean? Do you mean like streaming?
Because most streaming these days is shows.
Yeah.
More than movies.
Right.
Everything in the theater is movies.
Yes.
It kind of seems like movies are going down, besides the ones that everyone still looks forward to, like Marvel movies and such. But even Dune is not working.
Yeah.
So I did a few things, and maybe this might spark some interest. I already mentioned this. Peacock bought The Office for 5 years for $500 million for 5 years. But then the average film cost obviously a lot more and less, but $65 million to make.
Right.
That's what Google says. So that's average right down the middle. So I'm curious to see where is the money going in the industry, right? Like who do we already see the money teetering towards? Because they're going to be the ones that's the new film industry. Like they're the ones that's going to be, because Warner Brothers is having all kinds of issues right now, and they've been in existence making movies for a long time. But they're having issues. Disney, if they didn't come out with Disney Plus, they would be struggling. If they didn't have Disney World, they'd be struggling. And just with COVID, Disney this year has been struggling, except Disney Plus did get a lot of viewership.
Right.
A lot more subscribers.
What do you have? What are you going to say?
Where's all the money going to?
Yeah, I'm curious because we got streaming, who does predominantly shows, and then we had Blockbuster, which has been a staple forever, that mostly just do movies.
Blockbuster, the store?
Dude, Blockbuster's gone. It's been gone. But freaking Blockbuster movies, and then and we see them really struggling right now. Dune was a prime example.
I think personally, in the future, that is, maybe not right now, I think things are going to go a little bit more long form.
Yeah.
Right? I think movies have their place, and I think they're important. But even with Marvel, we see them sort of transitioning to a more long form show like storytelling. I mean, it's been such a hit with shows like
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and The Mandalorian. It's like, wow, we've got maybe we have less packed, it's less packed together, right?
Which, by the way, The Mandalorian,
I guess I would agree with that.
So much more popular than the Star Wars films.
The Star Wars sequel films, right? And I think I think it's long form storytelling that's really going to get people. Even Dune essentially is more long form because it's 2 movies, not 1 movie, about 1 book, right? So what I see is them wanting to put way more time into the story, right? So I can see things transitioning, but definitely for movies, and free streaming companies watching this right now, feel free to take the idea of insert your app name theater, Netflix theater, HBO theater, Amazon theater, because then you can just sell the movie tickets right there.
But copyright, you have to use Wyatt's name somewhere on the platform.
No, I'm giving it away for free.
No, terms of service.
No, free.
No, at least in terms of service, have some office worker be like, and Wyatt Goforth came up with this idea.
I don't think they would give it to you.
I don't need it. I don't want it.
Okay,
I want free content.
All of this to say, we're going to start our own app, and we're going to have the theater section, and it's going to work out just fine. What are your thoughts about this? Streaming shows versus movies in theaters? Because we know which ones.
I gravitate towards movies myself.
I know, but what do you think about the future of where's the money?
I agree with Wyatt. Longer-ish shows type thing. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that with Marvel. I mean, Marvel essentially is each movie is part of the show.
Yeah.
It's part of a show because they're all tied together.
It's long-form storytelling.
That's why people are coming back to them, because they love how they're all tied together.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we're seeing.
Well, I think movies will forever always have a place, because there's something to be said for the ability to tell a story, right, within a certain amount of time, right? Like The Princess Bride, or a movie like Monsters Inc. I just watched that one the other night. WALL-E. I think just you don't need more. That's the movie, right? I don't need more WALL-E. I have enough in the movie, right? I don't need another The Princess Bride, because everything's already there, So I think a movie is good for a certain type of storytelling, right?
But what if you just want to watch the Fire Swamp, and you got to watch through all of the sword fightings and all this other stuff just to get to her and be like the friggin' pirate story? That's all you want to see.
I mean, it's the same as a show, right? I can turn on an episode of whatever, but I still got to fast forward to the spot I want.
Yeah.
It's not much different,
Yeah.
So what are you guys thinking about? It's a new year. It's 2021.
Yeah.
We've briefly talked about, on the Midnight Special, wanting to start a version of Sober October again. Not Sober October, but a version of it.
Yeah.
What are you guys thinking? When are we starting? And what are your plans?
Well, my hopes is...
Because this is going to happen.
My hopes is to...
You're getting a little man booby over here.
Booby?
No.
Freaking... I am hoping to run 1,000 miles. I'm doing it.
We've heard this before.
Because Bert Kreischer's doing it.
How many miles?
0.
We're as of recording this is the 19th. I guess
January.
We can throw that out there, kind of give you guys a little sneak peek. How many miles have you done this year?
0.
I don't know. We rode those bikes pretty far.
Bikes don't count.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to either on the treadmill or on the elliptical. I'm counting the elliptical as run, because I do find myself sweating as much on the elliptical as I do when I'm running. I might not be as out of breath, but I sweat just as much. And that's really the key to it. I want to sweat 1,000 miles worth.
Yeah.
Okay.
This year. So the thing is, honestly, if I was consistent every day, it wouldn't be that much. It's like 2.5 miles a day. So I'm like, I don't know. I've gotten lazy right at the beginning. Maybe it's because I'm trying to prove to myself that this isn't a New Year's resolution. This is something I'm actually going to do.
Yeah.
Or it's just you haven't done it because you're lazy.
That might be it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. So let's just put that in the back of our mind. Let's not make any plans per se, but maybe...
I just said my plan.
No. Well, I mean, we can have plans, but I'm saying maybe next week on the main episode, because we can kind of talk about how structuring the podcast, we're going to do it. But on the main episode each week, we just give a quick recap on how our week went and our sweat game or our exercise game or whatever you want to call it.
Sweat games? Is that what we're calling this? The sweat
games?
Sweat games.
Sweat games.
1,000 miles of sweat.
That's cool. Sweat games. How can we make it into we should have like a chart, and we can maybe each collect our sweat throughout the year. So the person who
are we going to sell it? No, like Bell.
No, but I mean like you could do like like a sweat meter, a sweatometer essentially, where it's like, you track how much you did, and we see how sweaty you got.
Yeah, maybe we take pictures.
And be like, so there's little meters that like fill up, it's like, how much sweat.
How much sweat?
You got to bank your sweat, right? Not exactly like, you're filling up cups of your own, but we're talking about how much exercise you did.
Yeah.
Your exercise is your sweat. How much did you sweat, today?
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
How sweaty are you?
We're putting that in our in the back seat right now a little bit, but remember for next week, you got to bring up your sweat meter.
I think I am starting February. Either that or...
You're going to cut out a whole month?
I don't know. I kind of feel like I wanted this month.
Monday or...
I might start this week.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need to throw out a
tomorrow
month because you haven't started on the first.
Again. I don't want to do it tomorrow.
Well, if you put some sort of like, I'm starting at this point, right, on it, that for some reason doesn't help me. I just have to start doing something, even if it's just a little bit every day. Yeah. Like I just need to go exercise a little bit for 10 minutes even. Just 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And then come back, and then the next day, you know what? That made me feel really good. Maybe I'll go 20 minutes this time. Right?
That's the thing.
20-minute.
Once I do it and I sweat, and I'm like, that does make me feel good.
Yeah.
And then I do want to go do it the next day. The problem is right after Sober October, I just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And you stopped because you got COVID.
Yeah.
And I stopped because... Well,
October was
over, man. But with the sweat games
in the summer, we're gonna be all three. We're gonna be studs out there. We're gonna be showing off our man pectorals and our boobies and our
boobies
and our belly buttons.
Dude, I'm into a good navel.
Yeah, I'm really self-conscious about mine. No.
Friggin' okay. Did you guys know that if you have a real innie, then you do have a little bit of fat build up. If you have like a flat belly button or you have an outie, then there's nothing for the fat. Like it means just means like you're pretty well kept probably,
right?
Or you're just skinny.
What? No,
I think so.
Well, some people have an outie belly.
I think
button.
They
like
do.
Lydia had an outie belly button till she was like. I don't know how she's like 17 now.
Yeah.
Right? But she just had an outie belly button, right? Even though she has been skinny forever. But I think it's she probably pretty much has like any belly button now.
But I have a weird belly button because I got it.
You got it cut into.
Cut into.
Well, what I was saying is that I think as you get older, right, your body eventually you have to have so much fat on your body. Not like a lot, but I'm saying your body starts to equal out as far as skin and flesh or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you just, unless you're like really, hugely fat, you don't have like because, or pregnant or something. Do you ever actually have like a real true outie belly button?
Okay. What I'm saying though is, I'll give the pregnant argument.
The pregnant argument.
I'm pretty sure that the belly button has a threshold.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Why the heck are we talking about belly buttons?
Because you brought it up.
No, I talked about Sober October and
Listen,
exercising.
Thresholds for belly buttons. I think a belly button has a threshold. If you are just getting some chub, well then that chub is just circling around, if the camera can see it, and it's just making a little bit more of an innie pocket, right? If you're pregnant, well, you got a freaking... Here, Josh, put your fist on the back of my hand. Just touch it real quick.
Why?
Just try it out. Okay, if you're pregnant and the baby's on this side, this inside the stomach, well then that baby's pushing from the womb on the thing, so you can be pregnant and have an outie. But a lot of fat people don't really have outies.
Yeah.
Because I think a belly button has a threshold.
So in conclusion, if you want a good looking
navel
belly button, join Sweat whatever what we
Sweat
calling
Games.
Sweat Games with us.
Yeah.
Join.
We gotta start these Sweat Games so I can get those Sweat Gains.
Hey.
Sweat Games.
Sweat Gains.
Yeah. So we have our chart is called Sweat Games, and then at the bottom it says Sweat Gains.
Hey.
Yeah. I hear that.
I like it. But I said I'm doing 1,000 miles of something to sweat, and you guys aren't going to give yours?
I've already given mine. I don't want to keep bringing it up into it. Actually,
what is yours actually? I don't remember.
Go back and watch the podcast.
No, I don't want to.
No, it's teaser for last.
Yeah,
season.
yours is to
no.
run
You're asking
like
me to watch myself. I don't want to.
No, I'm just gonna run a lot.
Okay,
that's basically it.
Yeah, I'd like to do that as well. Mine is sort of just to work out basically every day.
Okay,
dude, do 1,000 miles with me. You can do the elliptical.
Yeah. I just want to work out like every day, even on technically off days. I want to put a little bit of effort into something.
A little sweat in.
Yeah, get that sweat.
Yeah.
Good and healthy.
Get good and healthy.
Always good and healthy.
We wrapping this up. We going for it. We
can wrap it up.
What is the time? How long have we been
We're
doing
about
this?
an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. Hey, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you listening to us. If you're on YouTube watching us, thank you very much. If you're not, go experience that. You can see our new studio. We got a flaming head over Joshua's shoulder, as well as some visuals.
we also have a website
we have
now. Wiseworks
Films.com.
There's a nice subcategory, Wiseworks Podcast. You can just go check that out a little bit.
Yep. Go look at Wiseworks Podcast on the website. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and very importantly, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can see all of the new podcast episodes we come out with every single week. And if you aren't already, go over to Spotify and follow Wiseworks Podcast there so you can listen to the audio versions of these, including this one, as well as the exclusive midnight special that comes out on Friday evenings at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to kick off the weekend. We're back at it.
And,
we're back at the midnight special.
One more
I
thing
think people like that show, actually, though.
End this episode off. As my last thing I'm going to say.
Wait, is this, if you say the Pluto thing, this is a new year. Do not, okay.
I was going to say, why is single? Slide in those DMs. Find his Instagram, slide into those DMs.
And he's single and ready to jingle.
Actually not.
And he's got a nice navel, apparently.
It's no. Don't talk about that.
No.
Slide into Joshua's DMs because he deserves it. Blow it up.
Yeah.
Hey, subscribe to Olin Rogers. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Bye.